50 odd of adventurers wanted. Yay! So, yes, we are playing D&D, and we are playing an ongoing campaign. So you are entering this story over halfway through. So if you have no idea what's going on, I apologize. I will try and catch you all up, but if at any point during the adventure you feel like you don't know what's going on and you'd like to know what's going on because, you paid a $5, then let us know. Shout out from the audience. We're very happy to have audience participation to a certain extent. That means that we have a relaxed attitude to sound and movement in the audience as well. That's also for the benefit of anyone who would struggle to be still and or silent for an hour. The lighting will stay exactly like this, and there will be some background music from our stage manager, Nemo, but there will be no sudden, loud noises apart from my voice. If you need to take a break for any reason, you can head out through the doors you came in. There is a small foyer space you just passed through, and there are people wearing red and black t-shirts that say "Sweet" across the front. They are the venue staff. Please grab one of them and ask them for assistance. You will also need them to get back into the room, as there is a key fob system. Please feel free to leave, enter, however you need to throughout the hour. That's absolutely fine. And if you need assistance in the room, Nemo is over there. Catch their eye, give them a wave, and they will happily assist you with anything throughout the hour. So, what are we doing? We are playing Dungeons & Dragons. Does everyone here know what Dungeons & Dragons is? I see a lot of nods. I said you can make noise in the audience. Can I have yeses and nos, please? Yes. A room full of yeses, great. Just in case you're not 100% sure, we are playing a tabletop role-playing game. That means that the four people to my left and right play characters in a shared universe, and I play the shared universe, which means everything they encounter, everything they do, everyone they meet, every monster they fight. Yep, it's one of those hours. It will be me. Together we are collaboratively telling a long, epic story about rebellions and cults. Before I go into too much detail on that, I'm going to ask our players to introduce themselves. Can you please give your name, the pronouns that you use, your character's name, the pronouns they use, and a bit about them. For example, I am Chris, and I use he, him pronouns. Reese, take us away.
Absolutely. My name is Reese. I also use he, him pronouns, and so does my character, who is Professor Digby Drawsell. He is a tabaxi, which is a cat person. Imagine like a bipedal ocelot. And he's a druid, and they get their powers from nature. I was a professor before the calamity started. I studied paleontology. And at the moment I'm helping fight the rebellion and...
Fight with the rebellion.
Fight with
not
the
fight the rebellion.
Yes, no.
There are characters that have heel turned, and you have not, so let's make very clear on that.
I am fighting with the rebellion to
Excellent.
try and get rid of some of this eldritch monstrosity chaos that is going on.
You've walked into a good hour, guys. Fire away.
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Aidan. I also use he, him pronouns. And I'm playing Fennec, a human sorcerer. He's very tall, slick back white hair. And he's about 70, so he's not fastest on his feet anymore, but has basically, ever since he was a child, he's had mysterious magical powers that have caused him to go from town to town trying to learn about his true nature rather than being able to stay in one place.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much
A
it.
travelling sorcerer in his 70s. Lovely. Thank you very much. Fire away, Anna.
Okay, I'm Isla. I use she, her pronouns, and so does my character Kimmy. She is a halfling monk, so a halfling is kind of like a hobbit kind of thing, very small. I became a monk because I just wanted the simple life, and my real passion really is calligraphy. But yeah, then this happened, so we'll see what happens.
Perfect. Timing. Makes me happy.
We need a calligrapher now, I'm sure.
Now, you are a Kensei monk, so you do use a
Yes.
weapon. What weapon do you use?
I've got a short bow and a quarterstaff. So
Lovely.
I use both.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And who are you?
My name's Luke. I use he, him pronouns. My character's called Corvo, and he was a royal guard, or was with the royal guard, and then got framed for murdering a princess and had to run away. I stole that from a video game.
So you were called Corvo, and you were framed for. Were you dishonoured by this in any way?
Maybe.
Look it up if you don't know what that was. Good, lovely, splendid. In which case, we will dive straight in. For the last 5 years, the land of Deriland was under the influence and sway of a cult to an ancient elder evil. A rebellion was formed to counter said ancient elder evil and managed to do so, driving the cult out of Deriland and probably saving the world. Except they didn't. Oh, the cult came back. Oh, it's an awful twist. The cult came back with more eldritch horrors and is now slowly taking the country back. And the rebellion has been pushed back to their hometown of Holmwood, deep in the mountains, where a huge number of refugees, a small remaining army left of dwarven barbarians, elf rogues, and human sorcerers, because fantasy stereotypes, are trying to deal with an impressive onslaught that I can tell you for a mathematical fact they will not be able to defeat. Telling the end before the beginning sounds like an odd thing to do, but, you know, just so you know what's going on. Hopeless is a word I would use about this situation. Hopeless. Lovely. With that in mind, can I have some hopeless music, please? Thank you very much.
Coldplay?
You two will be fine. There we go. So, 3 of you, not you, are in the town of Holmwood. You've been part of this rebellion for some time. You have helped defeat some of these cultists, but I'm afraid as the cult has pushed back and further, you are looking after a town full of refugees as a cult army is slowly pushing up the hill towards the palisade wooden wall of Holmwood. There are too many people here to protect. There are too many enemies to defeat, but you have to make your stand. And Simon, the head of the rebellion, is standing in front of you all in the town square, giving a rousing speech saying, we need to make this work. It's our last chance. I don't think we're all going to make it, guys, I'll be frank with you. But if we can hold them off as long as we possibly can, maybe the refugees can go out the back gate into the mountains and make their way some way. He turns to a dwarf, Broldrin, next to him. She is the leader of the dwarf barbarians. Can they use your tribal lands to escape? Is there somewhere they can go? Broldrin, hey, we'll hold them here as long as we can, but I will keep back some barbarians, if necessary, to take the remaining refugees out of town, if worse comes to worse. But we should probably not let them get over the wall. That may be our first plan of attack. The 3 of you are there, as are members of your various other sorcerer buddies, other elf buddies. There are no other monks. As you are all there trying to plan your attack, you have elven rogue rangers who are very useful at long distance. You have dwarven barbarians who are quite good, angry shock troops, and you have human sorcerers who, of course, can cast spells, who are all willing to help in this situation. What would the 3 of you advise the best plan of attack to deal with the approaching army? The army that's approaching you is largely made up of 2 gigantic mounds of blackened flesh with eyes all over them, called Shoggoth, who are currently bulldozing their way through the woods outside town towards the wall. They are supported by innumerable, horrible, black-furred, spiky-legged and clawed creatures called Gru or Manglers or even Hulks, just slightly larger forms of the same creature that is large, stabby and very unpleasant. There are many cultists who cast spells and also have daggers, and also flying above you swarms of insectoid creatures called Bayaki, which some cultists are riding, including the terrible Lady Mezoth, who is in charge of the cult and wears horrible blackened spiky armor and what looks like a skull face-plated helmet, but actually is just her skull. What would you all like to do?
It doesn't look like they have much kind of leadership. It seems to be pure dark magic they're fighting us with, so I doubt we can make some sort of targeted strike. I think we simply try and get a good defensive position, let them come to us and try and hold for as long as possible.
Do you think that should be inside the wall or outside it?
Can it be on top of?
It's a palisade wall, so it's
Okay.
wooden spikes, so I wouldn't stand on it if I were you. You are welcome to have ladders up the wall so you can shoot over the top of it. Maybe the rangers can do something like that. Or you could stand outside the front of it, or wait for them to actually impact the wall. However, these Shoggoth are very large and very strong. They'd probably take this wall like kindling.
I think in that case, in front of the wall is probably our best chance.
Okay. Who's standing in front of the wall?
I'll be standing in front of the wall, but as far back as I can be.
Okay. So the sorcerers will be standing in the back ranks in front of the wall. Where are the rogues? In front of the sorcerers. Some on ladders on the wall, maybe. Okay, lovely. And in front of that, the barbarians ready to make their first strike as the vanguard of this area of troops. With the barbarians, of course, is Simon. He is the head of the human town guard of Holmwood and is looking to defend his hometown. Broldrin, the leader of the Dwarven Barbarians, is there too. Nils, the head of the sorcerers, will be with the sorcerers in the back ranks, but the head of the rangers, unfortunately, tried to go and do something rash with some explosive ore and is now missing, presumed dead. Where are you, Kimmy?
I'm quietly on a ladder.
On a ladder, looking over the top of the wall.
See
Okay.
what's happening.
Okay, we can make
I've
that
got
happen.
quite good balance, so that should be alright.
As the troops amass in front of the wall, preparing themselves, in the distance you can see these horrible Shoggoth are approaching. They're quite slow, only 20 feet around. But they are slowly bulldozing their way forward with all these other troops around them, loping their way towards town, ready for a full frontal assault. As you can see them approaching, all your resolves tighten and you prepare for the moment that you know is about to come, the battle to end all battles. It's only our mid-50s, so it's not the battle to end all battles, but it is for now, let's put it that way. That moment is fast approaching. Think the Helm's Deep battle in Lord of the Rings. You're all looking out at each other and you can see this moment approaching ahead of you. Digby!
Hello.
Hello! You're a horse.
I am a horse.
At this moment.
At this moment, yes.
Yes, Druid, you wild shaped into a horse.
Yeah, I did.
You are riding full pelt back towards Holmwood to try and save the day. On your back you have a bard and a sorcerer that are not appearing in this adventure because they're not here. So...
Convenient.
yeah. What would you like to do?
So in relation to where we are with the army, whereabouts?
Roll a perception check. You're riding through woods.
I am riding through woods.
Yeah, you are.
That's a 16.
16. As you ride through the woods, to your right, you can see through the woods that you can see the very edges of this horrible undead eldritch army that is approaching, and you are very carefully skirting the edge of it, but you can't see Holmwood yet.
Okay. I'm gonna drop my wild shape.
Do you tell the people on your back that you're dropping your wild shape?
Nah.
Everyone tumbles to the floor.
And I quickly get up.
Okay.
I turn to my bardic and sorcerer friend, and I inform them to skirt around the edge and get to the city wall.
Town wall. It's very
Town
small.
wall.
The bard Flair says, "Yeah, all right. I'll go around the edge," and then together they go around the edge and go out. That was her fantasy New Zealand accent I was imitating. What do you do?
So I have a general idea of the direction of the city, yes?
Yes, the city is currently northeast of you, and the army is east of you.
In that case, I'll make my way towards that in a more direct route, trying to remain stealthy for the moment.
So you are stealthing forward towards Homewood.
Yes.
Roll a stealth check.
Yeah, that one, and I'm not feeling that one. Oh, I shouldn't have felt this one either. That's a 7.
Despite crashing through the undergrowth with some twigs snapping beneath your feet and some movement, it doesn't appear you've been noticed.
Okay, excellent.
You can see the walls of Homewood up ahead of you through the trees. You can see an army amassing in front of it. You are now in between the two armies. In the woods.
If that's the case, then I'm going to wait for a point where it feels like do I see the dwarves forming their line?
You see a mass of allied humanoids forming lines of defense before the wall, yes.
In
With
that
them
case,
are humans and elves and dwarves.
if that's the case, then I will take out my ball of twine.
Yes.
I will tie a bracelet around each wrist.
Yes.
I will go down on all fours.
Yes.
And I will turn into a mammoth as I cast polymorph.
You turn into a gigantic woolly mammoth. Can you make an athletics check? You're
As
in the
the
trees, buddy!
As a mammoth?
Yes!
Oh sweet, this is plus like 9. That's a 16.
As you bulge out into mammoth form, as you do so, the trees around you snap and twist because you are gigantic, and suddenly you are breaking free of the tree line and stepping between the two armies, a gigantic woolly mammoth stamping its way into the no man's land between the armies about to amass. The general reaction is confusion.
I make it very clear that I'm like Can a mammoth sidestep? Does anyone know if a mammoth can sidestep?
I'm going to say a mammoth can sidestep.
My butt is to my allies, and my tusks are towards the.
Guys, a mammoth
Approach.
just stepped out of the tree line and then showed you its ass.
We got this. Don't worry.
How do you feel about this moment? Bit confused?
I'm quite happy about this.
Quite happy about it? That's good. Okay.
Who's that fool?
Who's that fool? Good, lovely. The army ahead of you, seeing a mammoth appear out of the tree line and assuming that you're not one of theirs because you're facing them with a clearly aggressive intent, they are going to keep approaching as they were. They're not. Some of the Bayaki are flying down. Some of these flying mounts are flying down to take a closer look. What would you like to do?
I'm gonna hold a charge until I hear some remnants of a battle cry from my allies.
Excellent. So you're standing there pawing the ground,
Yep.
preparing this moment.
Can I run and jump on top of the map?
You know what? I'll totally allow that.
I mean, of course you can run it. Please roll an acrobatics check. Yes, finish that dice. Add your acrobatics modifier. 11. 14? 14. You run forward. One of the elves breaks rank, runs forward and leaps on the back of the barbarian. The other elves, thinking this is the start of the beginning of the attack, start charging and cheering, and the dwarves in front start cheering as well. Simon can be heard just saying, "Hang on, we're not, oh Christ," and then suddenly everyone is charging forward, and everyone is charging towards the battle situation, and battle is going to be joined, but you are on the back of the mammoth. Right, I need everyone to roll initiative, please.
Ooh, okay.
Who rolled above a 25?
Ha!
Natural 20 there.
Natural 20
Plus
plus 4. Kimmy, unsurprisingly, is going first. Who rolled above a 20? Above a 15? Wow. Okay. Let's write down who else is going at that point. Good grief. Okay. Who rolled above a 10?
12.
12.
12, 12, 10. Excellent. So, Kimmy, what would you like to do?
So are there the insect flying things?
Yes, they are currently swooping down. They are within range of your short bow, but at disadvantage.
But everything else is also.
Yeah, they're all still quite a long way away because you're behind the wall and everyone's charged forward.
Yeah, quite happy hiding there.
Good tactics. That's what that was. Good tactics.
Just trying to stay alive.
Yes.
I will try and shoot at one of the insects as best I can.
So roll an attack with disadvantage, please.
Right, 7 plus 7.
14. You shoot from your short bow, and despite the long distance, you manage to just wing one of the Bayaki with your short bow. Roll damage on the attack, please, so I know where it hit and how much it did. 10 points of damage. An arrow goes streaking out from behind the walls as the charge is started. Ably and expertly shot by the monk. There is a strange connection between you and your weapon, and you can, despite the fact that there is a very clear wind shear going on, you hawkeye that Bayaki from a mile out. And the arrow goes shooting out, impacts right in its shoulder joint, and it starts to fly a bit more slowly and pushes back away from the others, but there is still an entire swarm headed your way.
I'm just gonna go, hit one, yes.
One of the elves next to you goes, "Well done."
Trying.
Lovely. The Bayaki swoop down and attack the front line of dwarven barbarians. Quite a few of them are blocked by the barbarians' swings and wild, frenzied, reactive strikes. However, 2 or 3 of them are picked up and dragged away, being picked up and then dropped from the sky at quite a considerable height. The Bayaki are certainly attacking the front line with force. At this point, one of the Bayaki, carrying Lady Mizoth, swoops very low, and she, glaring out into the crowd, reaches out her hand, and black tendrils of energy swirl out of the ground, surrounding 4 or 5 of the barbarians who are making strength checks. Most of them do not succeed and are held close by these shadowy tendrils as she smiles evilly, her rictus skeletal grin across her face widening as she clenches her hand, and these horrible black tendrils close in around these creatures, cutting off their windpipes. And as doing so, her mount rises, and again she is flying relatively high up and out of range of most weaponry. At this point, Simon, Broldrin, the barbarians, and the elves in the front are all charging forward. They impact the line of cultists who are on the ground, and the line of these Gru and these Manglers, and battle is joined, and these two forces are crashing against each other. You can barely keep sight of what is going on. The various creatures are all being torn to shreds. At this point, I'm going to allow you your reaction to charge.
Sweet. Alright, so with my charge ability, if I move 20 foot towards an enemy, and do a gore attack, they need to make a strength saving throw. So let's see.
What are you aiming for? Just the front line.
So it's these weird dog-like creatures and cultists.
Yes.
And then
behind them are the Shoggoth, but they are a good way behind because they are much slower.
Okay.
If you charge and attack some of these, you'll probably charge your way through them.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and break that front line a little bit.
Excellent.
Oh boy, that's gonna hurt. That's plus 10, so that's 28 to hit.
You bow head first into one of these slightly larger black wiry furred creatures with all the spikes, and just boom, go straight through it. It is knocked asunder.
Gosh, 13 plus 7 is 20 piercing damage.
Yep.
And it's strength saving throw?
It failed it.
Oh, okay, cool, it's prone. At which point I'm going to bring my foot down and stomp on it.
Go for it.
That's 18 to hit.
You absolutely hit it.
And that's 4d10.
What was the damage on the gore?
20. Oh boy. 16. No, sorry, that's 14, 19, 23 plus 7 is 30 bludgeoning damage.
You grind this creature into the dust. It is not dead, but you have stomped over it and taken out one of their far, far more powerful fighters with one fell swoop, and are now standing in the midst of this raging battle in mammoth form. Excellent. Fenk. You're at the back with the sorcerers. You're not quite in first line of combat, but you are surrounded by your sorceress allies who you can also advise on what spell to use if they might use the same one as you. As you are standing with them behind the first combat line, presumably about to fire spells over the top of people into melee. What would you like to do?
Okay, so you said there was wind, right?
Wind.
Yeah. So would I be able to disrupt the flying creatures to an extent if I use my Storm Guide to change
If you use your
the
Storm Guide, you'll be able to allow... Storm Guide is an ability that he has as a Storm Sorcerer that allows him to affect the weather. You can certainly, with all your other Sorceress allies, all use Storm Guide to affect the flying creatures, absolutely.
Yeah, so I think I'll use that as my
Are you
action.
pushing them down, up, left, right?
Down, yeah. So
Down.
it'll be easier for other people to hit.
All of your sorceress allies, you together, all concentrate, and suddenly the wind howls and this storm cloud above you appears to be even more oppressive, sinking down in the sky. But at the same time, these flying creatures are all being pushed and bludgeoned towards the ground, towards combat. Very good start. That is an action. But you'll be able to cast spells on your next turn. Corvo.
I want to jump off the mountain.
Probably. Probably. You're on the back of a mammoth.
Yeah. I use my short bow.
Yes.
What's that closest?
There are other Gru, there are other Bayaki everywhere. Excellent. You, looking around you, these Bayaki have now been pressed down by this wind, and there are now these buzzing insect creatures far bigger than you around you. Could very easily use your short bow to pick one out of the sky. Make an attack roll, please. That 20-sided dice, add the number next to your short bow. 16. Your arrow launces out and hits one of these Bayaki in the side of their chitinous neck, piercing it. Roll the damage next to the short bow and add your sneak attack damage as well. Can you have a look at that?
So short bow, 1d6 plus 4d6. So 4 more. Okay, 3.
3 plus
5,
8.
8 plus 6.
14.
+1.
15. Your arrow launches out, and these creatures, bamboozled and confused by the situation, an arrow suddenly being fired at the top of a mammoth as one of these flying creatures hit in the neck and collapses to the ground, crushing more of its allies underneath it. The battle is very firmly joined. Kimmy, you can see all this happening. You are in range to shoot, but at this advantage consistently. You have to get closer to be more effective. You are standing on a ladder on top of a wall, Monk. What would you like to do? You have an ability called Step of the Wind, just throwing it at you.
Step of the Wind.
Mm-hmm. And your jump distance is doubled.
Well, okay then, I better jump down.
The monk flips over the wall, lands in a 3-point landing in front of the wall, and starts running full pelt forward in that lovely Naruto run style way. You are now beelining directly into combat.
Okay.
You've used a key point on this turn and used your movement, but you will be able to impact the front line of the enemy forces if you so choose.
I'll do that then.
Excellent.
Run in.
Reaching the sorcerers at the back, you quickly leap over one of them, using their heads as jumping pads. You manage to leap your way forward, bring your quarterstaff around over your head to smack down at whatever's in front of you in this enemy range.
12?
12. It cracks off the head of one of the cultists, getting through their armor class, because cultists do not wear much armor. Roll the damage on that for me. It is two-handed. 6 points of damage. You are a monk, you get 2 attacks per round.
6, and then where's that one? Yeah,
If you use an unarmed strike, you can then patient defense.
I'll do that. So whack him over the head.
Yes.
And then get my elbow in.
Yep, lovely. 4. No. You leap down with your quarter. You leap down with your quarterstaff, land, smack someone over the head, try and get the elbow in, but don't manage to hit properly. But as you land, you spin your quarterstaff around in front of you, and because you're a Kensei, your armor class is now effectively 20. Yeah. Right, lovely. Mizoth, realizing that her mount is probably going to be less than useful to her, leaps off and lands on the ground with an almighty shuddering thud. There we go. Lands on the ground and, pulling a gigantic greatsword off her back, wades into melee, mercilessly slaughtering 2 dwarves instantaneously, just with one bat of her gigantic sword knocking them out of the way. She's fighting her way towards what looks like Simon. I'm guessing they've got some kind of beef. At which point the remaining armies... Unbelievable. Despite overwhelming numbers...
Wow.
Despite 2 ones, despite overwhelming numbers, the cultists are being pushed back by the sheer dogged determination. 7, unbelievable. So the sheer determination of the rebellion. They are pushing them back towards their own bulldozing Shoggoth, which would probably cause them a heck of a lot of damage. The battle is truly joined, but at this point the cult are losing. Amazing. Digby, what would you like to do?
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
So I'm assuming I'm pretty much surrounded, aren't I?
Yep.
Cool. I'll make another gore attack with one of my tusks as I just like swoop my head down.
Yep.
21 to hit.
Yes, that absolutely hits. The same creature you were grinding into the ground is still being ground.
12, 14, 22 plus 7 is 29.
You've taken out the Mangler completely. There are more creatures around you.
I'll make a stomp, why not?
You stamp the ground, creating a shockwave rippling all around you.
14 to hit.
14 to hit. Creatures are knocked off their feet, and some of them take damage from the waves of energy that you have created by this stamp. Roll the damage on it, we'll split it.
10, 17, 22 plus 7 is 29.
Lovely. Okay. You manage to knock 3 cultists around you off their feet, and they all appear to be winded and wounded, but they are not down. Fennec, at the back, your storm guide has allowed all of these flying creatures to be pushed down towards the ground. Probably some of the reason why their forward movement has been halted. They are now not so much retreating as held back by the forces here, arrayed. What would you and your allies like to do?
Right, going to go all out on this one, and we're going to cast Ice Storm onto the now grounded flying creatures.
Excellent. Can you... it's dexterity saving throws on them, isn't it?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Actually, I think it might be
Con.
Let me double check.
Yeah.
We will check the rules as this moment pauses
But
in
you
slow
might as
motion.
well roll
Ice
damage.
forming. All of
what's
might as well roll
damage
damage. Good.
Guys. Rules!
Ice storm is a lot of damage.
Probably
Yes, it is. It's an
48-ish.
amazing spell.
Only one that.
You were right in the dexterity saving throw.
Cool.
It is 2d8 bludgeoning and 4d6 cold.
There
on
we
a
go.
Fail.
Okay, so that bludgeoning will be 8.
8, thank you.
And there will also be 8. Was it cold?
Cold.
Yeah, cold damage.
16. Some of them get halved, other sorcerers are joining in. An almighty ice storm is sweeping through this moment. It is largely concentrated on the cult forces and wiping around the back of them, and a lot of them are shrieking as they are pelted by solid chunks of ice. The storm sorcerers living up to their name as an ice storm sweeps across the cultist line, killing many and hurting a few.
It's also difficult terrain now.
Okay. Difficult terrain. Never let it be said, the rules aren't followed. Good! The storm raging past. Some of your allies are stepping back out of the way, trying to make sure they're not affected by this, as the Shoggoth, the big, dumb, stupid brutes that they are, roll into the storm and are now rolling forward, and the enemy forces are scattering to the sides, getting out of the way of these two gigantic creatures. Corvo, you're still on the back of this mammoth. This mammoth is now standing at the very edge of an ice storm, surrounded by enemies. The large creature he was fighting off has been crushed into the ground, but the lady in the armor is stepping to the front and very much taking part in fighting. You could shoot arrows at her if you chose to, or other flying creatures or cultists, or even the gigantic Shoggoth if you so desire. No, she's on the ground now. Excellent. She is in combat with your allies, so you will get sneak attack if you hit. It's +6. 16. You launch an arrow targeting that was clearly the leader of the cult. It bounces off her gigantic armor, not affecting her in the slightest. She has an armor class of stupid. So, she doesn't even notice the arrow hit, I'm afraid.
Technical terms.
Splendid. Kimmy, you have run into combat. You are now surrounded by enemies, but they are trying to move out of the way of these two horrible mounds of flesh that are now rolling slowly towards you. What would you like to do?
I'm just gonna try and do some stunning strike and push them in the way.
Excellent. You get 3 attacks per round if you use your basic monk abilities. So you can use 3 attacks and 3 key points to have 3 stunning strikes, if you so choose. Lovely. Let's have that.
So, 19.
Your quarterstaff launches out and whacks into the side of one of the cultists' jawline. He passes a... what is your key saving throw? That's fine.
I'm sure I had it written down somewhere.
Is it a 13 or higher? It's alright, so wisdom is +4, 8. Nope, he fails. You whack back a monk in the side. You whack a monk in the side of the neck. Roll the damage on that. Yep. It's quite alright.
+2.
4 points of damage, but also as you hit him in the side of the neck, he shudders once and falls over. Completely paralysed in the path of this bulldozer. Great. You hit another one.
Next one. 18.
You hit him, absolutely.
Yeah. 7 +2.
You should be adding 4 to your dexterity.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't matter.
+4.
All in now. And now it's +2 at strength. Quarterstaffs are not finesse weapons.
Monk. It's a monk weapon.
Oh, it's monk
Yes,
weapon.
dex.
Okay, +4. You're right. Two cultists now paralysed in the path of these bulldozers. You also have 1 unarmed strike, just with your arm, fist, leg, head, whatever you choose.
Kick one whilst it's down.
Kick one whilst it's down. Excellent. You don't try and
So I'm a
paralyse another.
noble
Just
warrior.
kick one of the people already paralysed on the floor. Go for it. 14. That they're paralysed on the floor. You absolutely hit them. Roll the damage on that. It's a d6 for you now.
4.
Plus. Yeah, dex 8. You kick one while it's down. Two of them are now in the path of these slowly moving, bulldozing things ahead of you. You are adding some insult to injury there, I believe, is the technical term of phrase. Lovely. At this point, Mizoth, stepping forward, realizes that you are causing some consternation to her troops and is going to step forward and attack you. I need to check her stats. What is your current armor class? She strikes up with her greatsword. As it swings towards you, you can choose to defend this, block against this, because it's not going to hit you in any way you so choose. How do you defend against this moment as this massive greatsword comes swinging towards you from a gigantic Death Knight of a woman?
Duck.
You're just going to duck.
Yeah.
You duck and goes over your head, just almost shaves the top of your head off as it goes, but you manage to duck underneath the strike as she goes for you. She snarls horribly and tries again. That is a 23. You take 17 points of damage as the sword cleaves across you with the backhanded swing, pushing you aside. She snarls, but because it's basically only skull, you get a sort of hissing sort of come out of her as she hits you across the side. She is attacked from the other side by Simon, running in to defend his ally. And he manages to break through her armor, his longsword piercing into her side, dealing not a lot of damage, but still drawing her attention to one side. She is hurt by this. Vroldrin, the gigantic dwarf barbarian, is also running in and also attacking. However, her gigantic axe clangs off the side of the armor too. All three of you now embroiled in a battle, presumably to the death. In the meantime, better. The cult are managing to hold their own and push back. They're getting out of the ice storm's radius and coming in from the sides and getting out of the way of the Shoggoth that are now swiftly approaching. And unfortunately, because you are being pincered in from the sides, the Shoggoth are now, in the next turn, going to bulldoze over some of your troops, including the gigantic mammoth that has nowhere to go. Hey there.
Hey,
Mammoth,
buddy.
what's
Yeah.
going on, man? The Shoggoth are approaching real fast and you have enemies all around you.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, is it fun? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
So they're approaching me.
Yeah.
I got my boy on my back.
You
right?
got your boy on your back, that's all happening, yes? No, take your time.
Just roughly, how many attacks of opportunity would I take if I charged towards the Shoggoth?
I'm going to say 5.
Calculated risk, we're doing it.
What is your armor class, Mammoth?
13, but I need the attack damage individually for concentration checks unless you want to homebrew that roll.
Oh, you can maintain concentration, I'm fine with that.
Oh boy.
Actually, we'll do it all in one go, it's just one concentration check, which will be quite high. Is that better?
I mean, no.
Okay, do it one at a time, fine. Your AC is what?
13. Dude.
1 hit. 2 hits. 3 hits. 3 hits. 3 hits.
My concentration check was 20.
Okay. You maintain mammoth form despite taking 17 points of damage.
Nice.
Your mammoth is wounded as you charge through past everyone else, past the Bayaki, past the cultists, past the Gru, past the Manglers, and are now standing face to face with a wall of horrible flesh.
13 to hit.
13 to hit. I mean, it is a wall of horrible flesh. I presume it has a low AC. Just check. Yep, you impact it.
I mean, I don't imagine this thing can go prone. But
Nope, it can't. It is immune to the prone condition.
okay, but that's, gosh, a lot.
Does it break 220? Because that's its total hit point count.
No, but it's going to do some of it. Hey, come on. 22 plus 7 is 29 piercing damage from the tusk, and I'm going to bring the foot down for a stomp.
Absolutely.
Nat 1.
It's quite hard to stomp something made entirely of sort of fleshy liquid.
I'm going to make a dex save. 18.
Lovely. Okay. Corvo, you're on the mammoth's back, and it's just charged headfirst into this ooze creature, and is currently goring, and horrible purple ichor is spraying all over the area, including you. What would you like to do?
It's got eyes.
Eyes everywhere. It's covered in eyes.
I just jump in the eye and start stabbing.
Yeah, of course you can. Make an attack roll. 9 plus. 15. You impact, and one of your blades stabs directly into the one of the eyes of this creature, piercing it, and you are covered in eye matter. Can you roll the damage, please?
5d6.
5d6. You are. It is a sneak attack, technically. Rogues. 4 more times. 12, 14, 18 points of damage as you stab it in this eye, and this eye pierces. You do realise as this eye pierces that A, there are loads more eyes, and B, it's huge and it is rolling forwards. You are currently in the process of being rolled over, as is your mammoth ally. We will get to that. Fennec, you and the sorcerers, you are now slowly being surrounded on all sides by these creatures because they've managed to flank around you, and the tide of battle is turning. What would you like to do?
Am I in direct danger yet from...
No, you're in a large group of sorcerers. You're not in direct danger, but these creatures are going to be attacking very shortly.
I think Shoggoths are still probably going to be the priority.
Correct.
So I think I'm just going to chuck a chromatic orb with... Okay, these guys are probably going to be... Not... Okay, that fire is probably going to be something that definitely they won't be resistant to, so chuck a fire chromatic orb at one of them, which is an attack...
Roll an
roll,
Arcana
right?
check.
Okay. Ooh, 15.
They are resistant to fire.
Okay, what do you reckon? Very good one to go for here.
I would say thunder or lightning.
Let's go for thunder. Keep it.
Brilliant.
Keep it thematic.
Keep thematic. The storm creates a ball of thunderous energy which you fire towards the Shoggoth that the mammoth is currently goring. Can you make an attack roll, please?
Oh boy!
That is 26.
Yeah, that absolutely impacts with the Shoggoth and splashes across it, creating this horrible rippling energy around it, which, because it's made of basically ooze, it seems to reverberate all the way through it. And roll the damage on that.
3d8.
3d8. 10 points of damage. You are certainly hurting this creature, but not enough. Hey, Mammoth Man.
Yeah, what up?
What up, man? Can you make me a dexterity saving throw, please?
Okay. Will an 8 do it?
No. I just rolled a 30 to hit. Hang on, I need some more d10s.
That's more than double your armor class. That's
2,
impressive.
Yeah, no, right? Like, that's
4,
awesome.
5, 6.
That's a lot of.
It is a lot of dice because it's about to roll over you.
I'm huge! This is impressive!
It is also huge.
Oh,
5, 13, 15, 17, 26, 27, 31, 36, plus 5. 41 points of damage as the Shoggoth literally rolls over you.
I mean, I maintain concentration just.
Still a mammoth! How many hit points has the mammoth got left?
So I took
40, what was it?
47?
47. 41! 41 points of damage.
109, take away 41, that's 108, 98, 88, 78, 68.
68. Very good. The mammoth still stands as, from what you can see, you're managing to hang on to this creature as it rolls forward and climb your way up as you go, but your mammoth ally disappears as the Shoggoth literally bulldozes over it. And that's where we're going to end this hour of Adventurers Wanted, on a literal cliffhanger. Not quite. Bulldoze Smasher, thank you ever so much for coming, guys. Right. Thank you. Please do spread the word about the show on Twitter, Facebook, face-to-face with humans. We're on Twitter at Adventurous250, where our stage manager Nemo has been live tweeting this entire past hour. So in case you couldn't be in the room or didn't watch it on the Twitch stream, you can always catch up on our Twitter feed. There are also memes and GIFs and other things the young people like. So if you're a young person, that's clearly for you. If you are also aware of Twitch, we have the camera up there. Twitch is an online video streaming service, which means we are live streaming the entire 100 hours of the show. It's also catalogued there or on YouTube, so you'll be able to watch every hour of the show if you fancy going back through them all. Those of us who enjoy Critical Role might know something about this process. For those who like to be here in the room, thank you. Always nice to have people in the room. That's very pleasant. Tickets are £5. You can buy them at the Sweet Box office outside the front door or at the Ed Fringe website. Also, for a £5, you can play at the table, as our lovely friends Aidan and Luke did today. Sorry, Luke. As they did today. It's the same price. And we are lovely, and we are trying to get more people interested and excited about this hobby that we all share and love. And we want to introduce as wide a range of people to D&D as possible. So if it is something you're interested in, come along, play, watch. And if you think that's an important mission and you want to support us in doing that, there's also a Patreon online where we organise free play events, accessibility events, and more events like this in Brighton, London, and Edinburgh. So do join us. Seems fitting. Thank you again to my lovely 4 players for this hour. What other things do you do that this audience might like? Would you like to share anything about stuff you've seen at the Fringe or stuff you do at home?
Played D&D a couple of times and he's DMing.
Mm-hmm.
We've got family. That's been pretty good.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Cool. That's great. Thanks, Luke.
Right,
Either. Anything you want to plug?
I'm a sign language interpreter. So
You are a
if
very
anyone-
good sign language interpreter.
Anyone needs any sign language done? And yeah, with specific D&D things as well.
At 10:30, in our 10:30 hour, Isla does live sign language interpretation of an improvised show, creating D&D terminology in sign language on the fly. It's incredibly impressive. You should all see that. So 10:30 tomorrow morning, be here, if that's of interest to you. Race.
I'm a punter, but I will shamelessly plug my friends' shows.
Fair.
At 11 o'clock at the Grass Market Suite venue, there is Imaginary Porno Charades.
Exactly what it
It's
says
a
on the tin.
fantastic show, very funny, very interactive, to an extent. Members of our team have been involved in that show, and it
Hang on. I think it's important to mention my team won. Chloe, did your team win? No, it didn't, did it? No.
The odds were stacked against them.
Apparently the odds were stacked against them.
Winter's boner. It's too extreme.
Hey, felching Nemo, they got it.
But that is a sample of the sort of names and things that they will be doing charades of. So if that's something you might be interested in seeing, go for it.
Not really sure how to follow that one. Didn't recommend probably Paul Sinner's probably the best person I've seen. He's at the Stand, I think, comedy club.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, that was really good fun.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, I mean, haven't really seen anything bad, so
That's good.
do where you want to.
It's an atypical Fringe experience. That's great. Good. Lovely. Well, thank you so much for both of our guest players and,
Thank
of course,
you
my
for
regular
having us.
players. Thank you, everyone. And, yeah, we need to reset because we're on again in about 5-10 minutes. Do join us again for another Our Adventurers Wanted, or if we don't see you again, have a lovely Fringe.
This
Thank
is
you.
for you to keep.
Oh, thanks. Nice.